Phoenix got her with number 10. I mean, it's not a surprise in regards to her talent, but just, and just the way I saw the draft working. I didn't see her getting snatched up that early. That's a good pick for them. But she got traded, right? She got traded to New York.
Oh yeah, to New York.
Yeah.
And
but
Lori Walker Kimbrough, yeah, she won.
Yeah. So I think New York came out great.
Hell yeah.
They went from, they went from kind of rebuilding to, I mean, they still going to be rebuilding because there's so much young talent, but
right.
the talent they got is they might be good sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I kind of like the Chicago Sky last year.
Yeah.
Get hot at the end of the season, make the playoffs. I'm like, they dangerous. They starting to figure it out. What about you, Wilson?
I guess I wouldn't say it's a shock because of her talent. And, there's somebody that, I'm sure you know where I'm going, somebody that you brought to the table in terms of Bella Alari. Just letting people know, like, your talent. Like, I think that today was just a really good example of, with everything kind of being limited and things being kind of a little bit different with, where the world is right now and how you're not able to do things the same way you would. You're seeing like the teams kind of lean literally, when we talk about this, Cardell, on the scouting. And it's not always about what we saw throughout the year about who's on TV every 10 seconds. We're seeing whose game really translate. And I think one of the biggest things we saw tonight was how important the ability to spread the floor was for these teams. And I think that's where, for a lot of people that may be like, well, so-and-so did all this in college, and it's not a knock on them. It's just this is a different level. And right now we have to look at, all right, we always talk about sports as a copycat league, no matter who wins, right? Mm-hmm. Regardless of the sport. The Mystics just won. It's nothing but spacing over there. People are going to make sure they have enough firepower in case that's what you have to, that's what you have to go through. And I love what Dallas did. I mean, you went from Enrique. Enrique is literally the smallest one possibly in a starting lineup or on the roster at the moment right now. And you love it. Sabali and Alari, like, they're interchangeable. It's wonderful. I just love that pick. I love the fit. And shout out to Dallas for hitting on those two right there. Getting those two tonight. I thought it was really good.
I just felt, for me, it was front court heavy in the first round. Pretty much I've been saying and y'all agree that if your front court ain't on point, you have no chance of winning games. It's going to be hell unless you just bombing them for three. And that's not a recipe to just rely on for whatever, 35, 40-plus games. It's just not cool. They can work out. Like you said, I'm with you, Bella Oliver going fifth, when a lot of people seemed like all season was questioning the talent she was facing in the Ivy League, and I love her, man. You know what I'm saying? I think I introduced you to her early, like at the Maryland game. I was like, "It's this girl."
One of the many times, sir.
Yeah.
Yes.
So no, it was just like she cold, man. I'm like, man, I don't know why she not getting much buzz or whatnot, but just the fact she went fifth, man. When they was questioning, like, man, she might just drop in the first, might be 11th and 12th range, maybe if second, and she went fifth, man. Not just fifth anywhere, fifth to the wings. And, Sabali can shoot. You know what I'm saying? So you got like 2 6'4" forwards that can do everything. Mm-hmm. And, I mean, you just came up that quick. It's just, I mean, God dang, man. But that's what scouting is all about. And that's why when fans be talking and stuff, and then, the scouts don't even reply. Because the fans are not seeing what they see. They're not in the gym seeing all these different types of games, taking notes. And, so when the time comes to make a pick, you have all this information that you can go off of, where a fan is just going off of if they played on ESPN a couple times. And whatever certain mock drafts and writers are saying, you got to get in the gym a lot. And then you kind of get a good feel. And you really have to know what you're doing, as far as the WNBA, because like Tabal said, which I didn't know, there are not a lot of workout players. So like the NBA is, so you really can't see if a player has hidden talent, but maybe they had to keep it in check because it didn't fit in the system they were playing in. So you really relying off your information, your scouting, and and we're gonna get to the Mystics later, but Tabal, we all know he's one of the best. He's staying in the gym. Another one, Makia Herbert Harrigan going 6, from South Carolina. That's just a testament to what they did last season, because she was not projected to go that high at all, and that's what winning does, man. When you win, people pay attention. People come at you, and if you consistently keep doing it, keep putting in work, you just eventually got to respect it. And that's what happened with South Carolina, man. And another one, Seattle drafting Kajika Loxer from South Florida. She was one I mentioned in our mock draft when possibly I knew she was dangerous because of what she did at UConn, and it's not what she did at UConn. Like maybe she got hot from 3 and just bombed them for 26. It's how she did it. She was mixing them up. She was like, y'all can't guard me, and Seattle got her. So Seattle pretty much, has a history of doing well with international players. And then she took off last year and played overseas. Obviously, the WNBA coverage is not the same as the NBA, where even if you're overseas, we can kind of see what's going on. But I know a lot of WNBA players play overseas. So they're giving feedback like, yeah, this girl tough. And I know that's what it was. So for her to kind of get bumped up like she did, that was very surprising. But I'm not surprised because, seeing the film, when we was doing the mock draft, leading up to my draft, I was like, ooh, shit, hold up, wait a minute. Like, no. And that don't happen. And not only it's not that she did it to UConn. It was at UConn. So and for South Florida. So
Which
it's not
means
like
it was televised.
Exactly. So she got busy, man. So that's what it was. But the Mystics, Jaylyn Agnew in the second round, and Sutton in the third round. What are your thoughts on those 2 picks?
I thought for Jaylyn Agnew, it's just more of the type, that he likes the versatile piece that can slide up and down lineup. And obviously, one of the requirements here is if you're not super athletic, you need to be able to hit the 3 ball. Yeah. She checks those boxes, right? Obviously, tough sledding in terms of trying to crack the roster or whatnot. With Sutton, I read his quote about, just bringing her to camp, let her come in and compete. It's up to her to come in there, and it's one of those situations where if you come in there, turn the head you need to turn, it's not like it's an organization where they're just going to let like a dog out the door for no good reason. That being said, it's uphill for both of them. You know what I'm saying? Like, just honestly, for both of them, you got what's it called? You got to think about even Maisha, right? She got drafted 2 years ago with Atkins. She's still trying to carve out a legit role, like consistently on this team. So, like we talked about on when we did our mock draft, whoever was going to Washington, it's gonna be real. Just if you can make the team or not. But I could see where he was going with both picks. But yeah, it's just gonna be tough, very, very tough.
Yeah, I agree with everything Wilson said. Agnew is kind of that archetype, prototypical player that Sabot likes and just kind of fits into what he does. And just like he said with Sutton, with both of them actually, it's just it's either way they can get some valuable learning experience to be in a good organization. And if they don't stick around, they can take that elsewhere to help them propel forward in their careers. Or, they get lucky enough to stick around and be around championship culture and be in a place that does it right. So, either way it's a win. But again, it's it's going to be rough in there. I think, they kind of understand the situation that they're in. They can go in there and fight as hard as they can and still not have a chance to play for this team in the upcoming season. But yeah, it'll do nothing but good for them just being around that coaching staff and those players and just the atmosphere that whole team's created.
I agree with both of y'all. I got on the conference call with Tabal before we started this, and one thing I love about Tabal, he's 100. You know exactly what it is. He ain't gonna be like, yeah, man, we love you with the team and cut you. He said it straight up, like, yo, man, like it's up to her to come in here and compete and try to take somebody's job. They only have 11 roster spots. I mean, they got one roster spot open. They only have 11 current players. So it's a spot available, but I don't think Tabal's the type to just waste it just to make somebody feel good either. You still got to earn that. And it's going to be hell, she's an efficient scorer. It goes without saying, especially from the free throw line. She don't miss. So that's an addition. But I think the most encouraging thing I love hearing from her, she talked about defense. Her being 5'11", she said, I got great length. I think I can bother people on that end, stuff like that. I'm like, that's the type of thing that keep you on the team.
Especially,
you know what I'm saying? Exactly, because you're not going to get too many shots. You will get the shot when it's a shot clock going down and they just moving the ball and it just happen to fall in your hands. That's when you get the shot, dog. So you're going to have to strap. And then just so happen if the ball fall your way, you open, then you got to shoot it and you got to make it. So it might be it's tough, but that's just the reality until you prove yourself, man. But, he just kept it real with him, man, and with us, he said the same thing. And he also mentioned that he was scouting Ariel. So they played her like the last couple of years. So he's actually been scouting her in the last 2 years, which is not surprising because that's the ball. He's everywhere, man. So
not at all.
So that's why when it comes draft time every year, I don't kill myself trying to figure out what he's going to do because I'm never right. You know what I'm saying? It's like picking your bracket for March Madness. You're never going to win that jump, though. It's just too much. So, and he's usually right. But that goes back to the great scouting he got going on. So
the only other thing I wanted to add real quick, not to cut you off, was just for somebody like Sutton. If you go back a couple of years, I know we were covering the Mystics this time go round. Like Lonnie Mitchell, this is her second go round with the Mystics. Didn't work out the very first time. You know what I'm saying? So like we were just talking about, it's not the end of the world here. If you don't, you don't hit the roster here. That's the only thing I just wanted to share. Lolani's a great example of that. Right. She left, and then she's back now. Got better as a player. Yeah.
They know what it is, man. So if you're not first round, you're not guaranteed. So you got to earn that. Another surprise for me, Kia Gillespie dropping to the third round.
Oh yeah.
That was
that's tough.
Yeah, man. Her, like I said, man, the pro thing is just that's what had concerned me. She didn't really have a position. And then on top of that, she's not very big to play 4 or 5, and she's not athletic. Like I said, I'm thinking like Tina and Deladon are faster than her, but she's shorter and she's not as long. And I'm just, she could score, she could shoot, but it gets more real at the next level. Like I've always said, even Kennedy, she went higher than I thought I had her going like a couple picks after, like 6, and she went 4th. But I guess it's the same range or whatnot, but it's going to be an adjustment because now 4s in college are now point guards. You see what I'm saying? The centers are now versatile 3 and 4s. And then the centers you haven't even seen yet because you're not playing against Cambage and Brittany Griner unless you was in college at the same time as them. So you ain't seen nothing like that. So it's like, and Bree, you ain't seen nothing like Bree and Deladon, and you ain't seen any Candace and Agumke. It's getting real. And so it's just like growing pains, dog. Like I don't know what to say, man. That was tough, man. I was like, man, but that's what concerned me, man. And obviously a lot of the WNBA saw the same thing, and she dropped crazy, man. I just didn't expect that. What y'all think?
I think it's gonna be one of the things like I felt like that about Megan Gustafson a couple years ago, and it had nothing to do with her college career. We were just talking about the next level and how everything changes. And like you were saying, like I think for Kaya the biggest thing is you gotta change your body. You have to get more agile.
Be a 3.
Yeah, you're gonna have to play the 3, and to do that, you're gonna have to be able to move with them. Otherwise, like you talk about all the time, if you can't defend your position, it's stuff like this isn't the NBA when, there's chances, there's multiple chances. WNBA is way more cutthroat in terms of look, there's only 12 roster spots off top, right? They don't have time for folks that can't. Like, perfect example, looking at this draft, people that came in right now, like low key, if you look in the fits, you could almost see their role already, where they fit in the team, That's how different it is than the NBA. And again, for Kaya, like, you're not the first college player to have success in college, where you're going to have to change your body and some other things to have success on this level, or even overseas. Like, this is just part of it.
Sure. Another thing I love seeing was the Liberty, Ionescu and Megan Walker.
Man.
That boosted them dramatically. And then Willoughby, she came in, right? Like we just said. So, you know, they got 3 proven threats that came from winning programs. I always look at that like, do you come from a winning culture, or you were just putting up numbers and winning 5 games a year? You know what I'm saying? That's different. And so they about to transform, and that's a nice little nucleus to kind of spark the change. Especially they're gonna be playing in Barclays in Brooklyn or whatever. I heard they're moving, so that's a nice way, the nucleus, to kind of usher in a new era with them. I mean, I'm loving that, man. You know, I think it's just gonna be rocking up there. They definitely gonna have the buzz up there because Ionescu off top, so they get to going off and winning games, and you know it'd be nice. You know, it's especially New York, they gonna hype the hell out of it regardless. So
they're starving for winners up there.
And also the Connecticut, I'm calling them the Connecticut Terps. They love them some Terps. College Charles, and the Terps usually do good for them. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, you know, she going to the Sun, and I can already see kind of where she fit in. You know, replacing Courtney, being the extra defender, being a shooter, mid-range and all that, being a physical defender, rebounder. Somebody just help them, you know, when they got to face the Mystics, just an added depth to, you know, deal with the Mystics' depth up on the perimeter. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think the only reason she slid is like literally just because we were talking about the outside shot was a priority going into this draft. That's the one thing that's legit. I'm not saying Kyle's a perfect prospect, but that's legit the one thing where you can be like, all right, that's the area, right?
Right. Yeah,
outside of that,
that's her thing.
Yeah, like that's the so-called Achilles for her or whatever, right? So, yeah, I mean, that I legit think she just fell just because of that. And then you saw what good teams do. You take somebody where she could come in right away. They're not going to be asking her to hoist up threes right away. But what you're going to get out of her is another person who can put the ball on the floor, another very capable defender. As you said, Cardell, another wing with size, versatility, can hit the glass. And we know how much Connecticut loves to run. What do they do at Maryland? Run. It is a good fit. And it's not like her 3 balls broken. It's just going to take some time. That's all. It's going to take some time.
Right.
I mean, shooting is one of the most easiest thing to fix. It's just reps.
Reps.
So just getting in the gym. So if a person can't shoot, I'm not as worried about that as other things. Like if you just a terrible defender, because that could be for a number of reasons. Is it physically you can't match up, you can't keep up, do you understand angles, or is it a will thing? You just don't want to defend. And if it's a will thing, well, me personally, you just can't be on my team because we ain't finna be giving up 150 every night, though. That just ain't gonna happen. So. Also, a couple other players that failed, Ted Cooper, Beatrice Montpreneur. I mean, they were projected to be in the first round. They fell to the mid and towards the end of the second round. What do you think? You know, is it the shooting thing like you just mentioned, Wilson, or what are your thoughts on those two?
Me personally, I just really think it was a shooting because like where the WNBA is now, you know, you and I have talked about this for the last couple of years where it's been going. And this is going back to where, like, you were screaming about John Quell when she was in GW, right? So we're seeing where the league's going, where it's transitioning to.
Sick.
Look what we saw. It's a bunch of 6'4" people that could play the 3, 4, and 5. And a couple of those freaks can play the 2. So
sick, bro.
it has nothing to do with Beatrice, but, like, that traditional big, you're not going to take that high. You know what I'm saying? You're just not going to take that.
You just dominant. You got to be a grinder.
Yeah, or Cambage or somebody like that, yeah.
And even them, those people we just named, along with their length and size, there's touch and skill there.
Yeah.
You know, it's one of those positions that's incredibly hard to play as is because of where the position's going. So I don't look at it as a knock. It's just I think some of the bigs are a little bit more limited from a skill standpoint. You're not taking, like we're talking about the league, it's 12 spots. You're not taking those players as high as you would in past years when it's like, oh, I just need you to bang. Nah, man, some of these people, like Ruthie Hebert might be a 4 in the WNBA. after we saw her as a 5. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just different. I just think that's just where the league's going. I wouldn't be like, oh, it's an indictment on these post players right now. It's tough out here.
And also it's a copycat league. Like whoever wins, that's typically where the league try to build and try to beat. And the Mystics have a bunch of bigs that can shoot the hell out the ball. I mean, remember, they got a lot. They got players all around that can shoot the hell out the ball. So that's what, it's no different than the Warriors.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Like they came in with the 3 ball and they won a championship, so everybody tried to copy them. But if you look back previously or whatnot, the Spurs were running things. Kobe and Powell and Bynum was running things. So you needed bigs to deal with them. Otherwise, you weren't going to get far. So, that's just it goes with who wins because they kind of set the tone for the league, and you got to match up with them. But like you said, and even before the Mystics, who won the year before? Stewie. You know what I'm saying? So.
I don't know if it's too much matching up with that.
I mean, that's my point. But 2 years later, you look across the league, it's about good 6 teams that got their own version of Stewie. It's like, what the out of the blue, nigga, like, what the fuck? It just happened.
But that's where we're at, though. Like, that's legit where we're at. So it's like, it's tough if you're a big now, especially if you didn't get a chance. You weren't afforded the opportunity. Like, say you had those skills in college, but you weren't asked to do that. It's tough, especially considering you can't, you know what I'm saying? You can't work out in front of them, but still. Go ahead, Cardell.
No, but they can still see that because that's where the scout come in. Because, like, if the scouts get it done early. So they get there, the players warming up, and you might like her, like, yo, can she shoot? You can actually go up to the coach, like, can you put her through some shooting drills? Let me see if she can shoot the 3. Because I remember talking to a scout for the Timberwolves, and they were looking at Kevin Love when he was at UCLA, I think, in the Final Four. Now, you saw Kevin Love with the outlet passes going to work in the post and, pick and pop in the mid-range. But what they didn't know was he could shoot the 3. So they're like, you think you could put him through some three-pointer drills or whatever. And let's see if he can shoot that. And, boy, they said he went around, shot like 10 at 5 different spots. He shot about 50. He made like 47. And like, oh, damn, he could shoot. And like, oh, yeah, he could definitely shoot. It's just with our system, we don't need him to. We need him to bang down low. And that's what boosted his draft stock. And then obviously I think he went with top 5 or something like that. So yeah, they can know, for us, I mean, we may not see it because obviously during the games or maybe in practice if, but then again, you still gonna have to do it in the game. Because like what we see at Wizards practice and stuff, you done seen Ian Mahimi hit 15 in a row.
That man got a clip in practice.
Yeah, bro. You gotta guard that, dog. You gotta guard him like he's Steph out here, dog. Like, nah, you know what I'm saying? But in the game, you like, man, go ahead and get that off, dog. So
you laughing, right? But I'm serious. Man, got a clip in practice.
I think everything y'all talking about, I think that kind of helped Makia Herbert-Harrigan raise her draft status because she was able to show that she could do those things and have those skills necessary to compete on the front line of the WNBA now. Because like y'all said multiple times, that's where those positions are going. And, if you that traditional catch on the block, put your shoulder in somebody's chest and go over either shoulder, then that's you'll probably get minutes depending on lineups or shifts or something like that. But that's not the prototypical player in that position anymore. And you're going to have to show that you can function the way the other bigs are functioning. Because if you can't, then Cutdale, like you said, it's going to be hell.
And then the last 2 notes for me, Shannon Carter and Courtney Williams together. I mean, buckets, dog. If she adjusts quick and they come in and they put that lineup together, like, yo, get buckets. Woo.
With Tip Hayes at the 3. Those 2 like Tip Hayes at the 3. It's going to be a whole bunch of buckets given and buckets dropped and given. Because neither one of them stopping nobody off the early. And
I also got to give a shout out to Tyesha Harris, man. I'm so glad she went. They was dogging her. They was dogging her so much last season. I'm like, Slim, she does it all and they winning. Like, what do you want? But she stayed consistent. And at the end of the day, she got what she deserved. She went top 7 in the draft. And, even with Makia Herbert or Harrigan, that just shows you how much they value what South Carolina did. Because I'm starting to notice with a lot of the media that cover college women's, man, it's like you know, South Carolina, like the new kids on the block, and it's a lot of sisters over there killing, led by a coach that's a sister. And they got their little darlings that they love and they want to keep pumping up and keep at a certain level. South Carolina, like, nah, we here. And you notice they ain't get that same, like, just being real. I don't like, if what South Carolina did happen at like Notre Dame or UConn,
we're going crazy right now.
Thank you.
Like that's easy to say. We could be so honest with that. Like, and as a UConn fan, like the past couple of years, people have been so generous with their coverage.
Yeah.
I'm just, look, man, there's a standard. People did not meet it. Say what needs to be said. Like, it's bad. It's been bad. You literally watched a whole powerhouse get built during this last 4 or 5 year stretch, right? Keep it a buck. It's not that hard. And I remember when we did the mock, I had Kiki Harrigan. I don't think I had her at 6. I had her in the first round, literally just for that reason. I remember, was it last year when Jessica Shepard got picked, I think like in the second round by Minnesota? And the only thing with Jessica Shepard is like, she's just not super athletic, but it's not that much different of the type of player, right? It's a 4 that can guard multiple positions, hit the glass, shoot the ball. The biggest thing for Kiki this past year was she showed that she could shoot the 3 ball. And that changed everything for her. She showed she could hit the 3. And then, like you said, earlier when we talked about Kyla, the stuff that you're willing to deal, like the stuff you're willing to get over, like you don't have to question her will, her toughness, her willingness to bang, any of that. Like, it's a certified dog you just got, and they can hit the 3 ball. And in Kyla's case in Connecticut, it's a certified. You're not worried about any of the other stuff that, like the makeup, right? You're just worried about the work, and that's gonna happen because that's how those kids are. I think that's a great fit in Minnesota. That from like her fees, it's not a bad mix. I know it's gonna be a minute before Shepard gets back, but I mean, yeah, it's good, and I'm happy that South Carolina from the league is getting the respect that they deserve because they're not getting enough respect outside of it. Like, man, Aaliyah Boston's on the way.
Man.
So, like, that's a whole #1 pick in a couple years. It's fine. It's fine.
And I mean, I'm glad Dawn was vocal about it, because it's no need sugarcoating it. Like, when you work that hard and get those results, you get the right to be a little mouthy about, something unjust that's happening to you. So I'm glad she spoke out.
And I don't heard that she one of the greatest players to ever play the game. So, and that's another reason why I don't like how y'all doubting Tyasha Harris. Like, it makes no sense. What are you talking about? Like, she's proven. And you really think a Hall of Fame point guard is gonna have anybody out there running the ship? And we saw her control the game against Maryland, man. And then she was Baylor, even UConn, Oregon was deserving, no doubt. Louisville, you saw more of them. They was pumping at times. They was pumping everybody but them. And then at the end, they just had to give them respect. So, I'm just happy about that. But any lasting thoughts before we log off?
Go ahead, Raymond.
I like the fact that, it was on the big boy channel, ESPN.
Yeah.
Even with everything going on, they made sure they was able to, to kind of just make it as normal as possible, with the live look-ins for the draft picks at home, at least for the first round. It was very interactive, and they did a good job of not allowing the situation to kind of disrupt them completely. But I like the direction that the WNBA is going in regards to with the recent changes they made with the CBA and everything, and it just looks like people are actually starting to put an effort into promoting this league and getting them the shine that they deserve.
Yeah, for me, it was fun. It was just fun seeing how this draft went, and also kind of getting an idea of how the league's looking at the players coming out now, right? What's of value. So that was cool. And I guess my last little note before we get off here, Seattle, once again, I know we talked about who they got in the first round. They got their hands on Joyner Holmes, another one of those very, very, very freaky forwards that you can do so many different things with. So I'm excited to see that. And, for the teams that had, the bevy of draft picks, I thought they both did a good job. Because there's so many times we've seen, in other sports, sometimes people get those draft day movie type packages and then fumble the bag. So I thought they did a good job, and I'm just ready. Hopefully we're able to have a season eventually when it's safe for everybody. If that time does come, I look forward to just the competition around the league. Like, it's tough, man. The league got better.
Yeah.
You can't ever be upset about that. So,
I mean, three closing things for me. It was a joy just seeing a lot of these young ladies that I saw coming up in high school. Megan, I saw her all throughout high school. The rites of passage, Lisa Bodine, man, shout out to her. She always used to invite me out to her. She pretty much was like the John Lucas of girls basketball. I'm serious. I've seen so many of the top girls in college the last 4 or 5 years come through that camp, man, as top 8th graders or whatnot. And Sam Brunel, all of them, man. So she's had her hands on all that. So I've seen them just develop. It's just cool to me to see them develop from young pups, rise from college and get to the league as standout women. You know what I'm saying? And it's just, that's always a joy. And obviously the local flavor with, Bella Ollery and Kyla and Megan Walker represent for the area, just getting drafted. That's big for the area. Lets the young ladies know, like, it's a spotlight here. You handle your business, you'll get your shot. Simple as that. And I appreciate the WNBA because one thing I always say when they compare areas and kind of on the men's side for a second, it's 30 teams, so you're gonna have a lot of players where they iffy if they belong, but you use them for a roster spot, to have depth and whatever like that. But this also makes you pay homage to, when the league first started with Bill Russell and all them was doing their thing, because the league was a lot like it is with the WNBA. It wasn't that many teams, so you literally had the elite players of that time in the league, and you had to be nice. And you had to be ready to go. Otherwise, you were unemployed. You didn't have a job. And that's what you kind of see with the WNBA. And I think that's why the quality of play is always so strong, because there's not as many teams. And a lot of the women, you got to be nice. You got to be nice and consistent. You got to work hard, or you be out of there quick. We be asking, like, yo, wasn't she just on the team? Like, it's that quick. Don't even know you gone. And I think that's healthy to a certain extent, because we get frustrated seeing the NBA because we see a lot of guys that just take it for granted because they can, and that's not possible on the WNBA side, and that's why it's more competitive, more fundamentally sound. It ain't just me saying it. Hell, the NBA players say it. You know what I'm saying? So, I just, you gotta tip your hat off to these ladies, man, because they represent the game the way it should be represented. And that's my take on it.
And you just brought up an interesting point about that with it not being that many teams in the league, and it's kind of what have you done for me lately? Produce right now, or you get gone. I think that's an easy transition for a lot of women because they spend a lot of time overseas, and that's how that culture is over there. Yeah. As far as basketball goes, it ain't you don't get too many chances because they'll cut a coach quick, they'll get a play out of there quick. So you got to come in and produce right away. So I think that with that, with a lot of women having that experience and pedigree, it helps the product in the W as well.
But I think they just held them more accountable as youngest too, because it's like,
oh yeah, definitely.
They don't have the spotlight like the young fellas do. I mean, you don't see female coaches calling the young players, "What up, sis?" Doing highlights and stuff like that, like the other trainers. Be like, "What up, my little bro?" And all. Nah, they treat them like players. And, you a young lady, you get out of line, I'm gonna check you. And that's what it is. And you get to college, it's gonna be the same way. I'm gonna check you, or you gonna be up out here, transfer, run, do what you gotta do. Oh well, you better off without you anyway. And that's life. Like, man, you young, you trying to figure it out, but you dealing with somebody that has years on you to understand. Mm-hmm. So it's no entitlement with a lot of these ladies. They coming in ready to work, ready to earn it. And they competitive, don't get me wrong, but they ready to work and show why they've gotten the accolades they've gotten. Whereas, man, you got dudes ain't really did much, and they want you to be looked at like they Jordan. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, a lot of them was on that, DMV IG Live the other day, but, we ain't going to go there, man. You know what I'm saying? We're going to keep it. We
can talk about that offline, man.
But But I'm just giving an example, man. But nonetheless, man, it was a great night for women's basketball, man. I'm just happy to see where it's going, and hopefully it's a season. So
Yeah,
I'm excited. I want to see all these teams rumble.
Hell yeah.
Can't hear you, Wilson.
Sorry, I had it on mute. What I was trying to say was whenever the season happens, however long it may be delayed, once it starts, this excitement that we have right now, I'm sure it will come back very quickly. Man, it's going to be fun. It is going to be so fun.
No doubt, man.
That's all I had to add. Like, I can't wait.
No doubt, man. But 2 days, baby. 2 days, man. So.
Man. Speaking of that, yeah.
Oh,
but hit the store, man. 2 days, man.
48 hours, man.
Yep. So the countdown really begins now. But thanks for all of you who will be viewing this. This is the focus, and we'll be back in a couple of days. We got something special coming up for y'all.
Yes, sir.
All right, see y'all.
All right, see you.